Good evening, America. I am Eric Little. It is the 8th day of September 2020. There are 56 days, exactly 8 weeks from today, to the end of the general election. There are 29 days until the vice presidential debate. I'm near my home in smoky Southern California this evening, and this is the plain truth. In 1984, Eddie Murphy and Dudley Moore made this movie called Best Defense. It's a stupid movie, but it did make a good point. In the movie, Dudley Moore worked for a defense contractor, and he was tasked with making this thing called the dip gyro work. It was supposedly a thing that made the missiles on a tank fire. Well, they worked like the devil. They couldn't figure out how to get it to work, and the Army test kept failing. So he runs into this KGB, or this guy that's running from the KGB, and he slips the answer inside of Dudley Moore's briefcase. He doesn't know. He gets to work the next day. His buddy puts it into the machine, the computer, and goes to get some coffee, and his buddy sees it and thinks Dudley Moore invented it or fixed it, and everybody's so happy because their job was saved. Well, when Army came to do the test, the dip gyro passed with flying colors, no problem. So everybody's job is saved. The problem was Dudley Moore figured out that the dip gyro didn't work. It worked in theory, but in reality, in the actual tank, you had to put the dip gyro next to this thing called the WAM. Well, the WAM got really hot and it caused the dip gyro to overheat, and so the missiles wouldn't fire. Anyway, at the end of the movie, he ended up fixing it. Now, the reason why I'm telling you about this movie is to make a very simple message that you can understand. That just because something works in theory doesn't mean it works in real life. When you're thinking about these vaccines and Trump trying to rush this vaccine to market before the election to say, hey, I solved the coronavirus problem. Just because it works in theory in the lab doesn't mean it works in real life. So don't you go anywhere near this vaccine until it is proven safe and effective by outside people. One piece of good news is that the drug manufacturers have all gotten together and they signed a letter saying that none of them will put this out on the market before it's safe and effective, because they know Trump will try that. They know he will do anything to try to win this election. So he will, rush something out to market without being sure. He's already co-opted the FDA, the CDC, so they've agreed to make sure that we've done that. Kamala Harris, I believe, was right when she said that I'm not going to take Trump's word for it. They're trying to twist her words to say she wouldn't take a vaccine. She didn't say she wouldn't take a vaccine. She said, I'm not taking his word for it solely. And I agree with her. I wouldn't either. Black people in particular have been routinely used as experiments in America. And look no further than Tuskegee. Look it up if you don't understand what the Tuskegee experiment was. In short, they intentionally, this is not some whack doctor, this is the federal government that intentionally gave syphilis to black people to test it to see how it worked in their bodies without their knowledge. That's not the only time that we've been experimented on. The CIA ran drugs through the hood all through the 80s to pay for a war in Central America. I could give you 99 other examples, but this format doesn't allow me to talk for an hour and a half. But the bottom line is, until the vaccine is tested, going through the entire phase 3 clinical trial, verified by independent outside group, don't you go anywhere near it. And that is the plain truth, as I see it. And I am Eric Little. Good night.